Made possible through support from PASCO, Personal Assistance Services of Colorado, the Arc of Aurora, and Developmental Pathways. A Think Change training.
Hey, it's Jeff
And I'm Petrie. We are advocates with the Arc of Aurora, and we are here today to offer up a Think Change training on a specific topic as it pertains to people with IDD. What are we talking about today, Jeff?
We're going to be talking about what are my educational rights.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So I think the best place to start with that would be FAPE.
Okay.
And with that, FAPE is used all the time. I want to know what FAPE stands for. It's a fun, easy word to say.
Yep.
But what does it mean?
Okay. Well, to start off, FAPE stands for Free Appropriate Public Education. Now, what exactly is that? Within the IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Educational Act, each child with a disability or special needs who accesses special education has a right to free, appropriate public education, or FAPE. So that is mandated within that federal law of IDEA. We also require that FAPE occur in the least restrictive environment. And a lot of times you'll hear that referred to as LRE, least restrictive environment, within the school setting. So what does that mean? What does that look like? Depending on the needs of your child, that will sometimes determine, well, it almost always determines, the percentage of time that your child spends in gen ed and in special education classroom settings. So in order to provide that FAPE, let's say your child is in gen ed 40% of the time. Then the other 60% of the time, that gen ed is then supported by the child being in the special education setting. But then there's even extra supports for the special education with related wraparound services to help support that. And those services can look like speech and language, occupational therapy, mental health supports, physical therapy. So there's a lot that kind of goes into helping the child access that education that every child has a right to. Does that clarify FAPE a little bit for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's a couple of federal laws that actually protect your FAPE.
Absolutely.
And I was going to touch a little bit on those.
Good.
There's two basic federal laws that protect your educational rights. One of them is IDEA, which provides, the IDEA in a whole provides you with that IEP. And IDEA stands for Individual with Disabilities Educational Act. It's an educational law, and it provides you with special education and the related services. The other federal law comes under the Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. And that's where you're going to get your 504 plan. Now, Section 504 is more of a civil law, but it protects people from being discriminated based on disability at the schools. But we're talking about schools that receive federal funding.
Okay.
Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think we should discuss what happens if there's a violation of IDEA and what you can do. Do you think that's a good place to start?
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't feel like your child is receiving FAPE, right, the school isn't providing that, there are a couple of avenues you can take. If you recall, like at the beginning of every IEP meeting, and if you've been in IEP meetings now for years, you get that blue book, right? And it's the...
I think it's green sometimes.
Is it green sometimes? Well...
I believe so.
Okay. All right. It can be green or blue.
Well, I think you're wearing a green shirt. Is that green or is that blue?
It's green.
Okay.
Whatever the color, you receive this kind of handbook, and it's your parental rights as they pertain to your child's special education. Within those parental rights, you can find information on how to lodge complaints if you don't feel like your child's education is appropriate for their needs. You can also reach out to your ARC advocate, who can help get you in the right direction to even see if we can facilitate before you need to lodge a complaint. Can we rectify the situation and come up with some solutions?
And if those situations don't seem to get you what you want, you can go into mediation with the school, which is a quicker way to resolve the dispute than the due process hearing.
Absolutely.
Which is definitely going to be more time consuming, and it's going to involve court, right?
Yeah, you'll need at that point, with due process, you will most likely require legal representation. So if you can go into the mediation first to try and resolve those issues, as you mentioned, that's a much more expedient way. And you always want to remember too that what's really hinging on this, it's the needs of the child, the needs of the student, and the quicker that you can resolve these issues with the school, the better supports and services and education your child will be receiving day to day.
But there is a time and a place for due process.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you're not sure too, you can always consult your ARC advocate and see what the best way to go is. And we're going to sit down, we're going to like explain to you your different options and you know what can happen with those options. Because there's a classic expression I learned years ago. What do you win and what do you lose from whatever situation you're in?
Yeah.
And the advocate can really help you sit down there and kind of look into that.
Yeah, just kind of clarify all of those different pieces. A lot of times too, there's some emotion involved, isn't there? If you really feel like your child isn't receiving
Oh, absolutely.
the best education that he or she possibly can, you as a parent are feeling really emotionally charged, and you want to ensure that your child's rights and all of the availability of services and education is afforded to them. And so sometimes it can be hard to separate that emotion from what needs to take place next. And that's where an ARC advocate can help.
And I was going to also say, if you like to do homework and research on your own too, if you want to go beyond that green book, or some people call it blue, you can always look up IDEA, and it has 3 sections, A, B, and C. And also the Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, you can also access that online. So if you want to get kind of deeper into the legality and bigger words and that kind of thing, I encourage you to look it up.
Yeah.
Research.
The more you know, the more empowered you are to know what to ask for, know what your child's rights are. And that always brings a level of comfort. And the more you can educate yourself, the better. And again, that's what we're here for, too, to help with that.
So thank you. And you got anything else to wrap up with?
Nope, we hope this was helpful. There are more Think Change trainings to come. Stay tuned. Thanks for spending this time with us.